Do you get anything or acquire anything without thinking? Who is he or she? Oh, my honey. Where is your house? You see, every moment we human beings think. You all are seekers, so now we are understanding how to become a seeker. So the title is Become a Human Being and Think About Real Self. So I've already told you that, oh, don't you see me that I'm a human being? So how the masters gives you an understanding that what actually, how we become a human being as a thinker. So what happens when you start thinking? You raise your self-awareness. And the mind leaves its habitual thinking. Huh? Mind leaves its habitual thinking. You know, the way I told you, greater the beard, greater the suspicion. You see, that is one way to think. Other way, greater, longer the beard, greater the wisdom. So you see, it's a point of thinking. But if I don't think, we solve problem. We solve our problems of life by thinking. You have a debt. Example, your father or sibling can remove the debt. You are hungry. Then what? Does your father eat and your hunger will be gone? Pay attention to this part. Our goal is in this series is to become a seeker. Then I will pick up one of the higher texts and you are listening and you are there. That is how we say. You know, I gave an example, simple example. You have a debt. Huh? You have a burden on your shoulder. I can ease it. But what about my hunger? I have to eat it. So it means I have to think. Yeah, I have to think. Never remain a non-thinker. Who is a non-thinker? The entire living species except human being. And if we become a non-thinker, then what happens? If we become a non-thinker, what happens? A driver who was driving the dead bodies for more than 25 years. He wanted to change his profession. So he became a cab driver. He got the first rider, Uber. So he became the Uber driver and he got his first rider. The rider was friendly like me. He patted on his shoulder. And he started shivering, trembling with the fear. Why? What happened? Why you are trembling? This is my first time that I'm driving. The driver said, and nobody touched me, patted me on my shoulder in the last 25 years. Did you understand? When you are driving dead bodies, nobody is going to pat on your shoulder. Do you see that? That is the way we have certain habits, certain habitual thoughts, and we bring it into our mind and we say, oh, I'm thinking like this. What happens to that habitual? thinking. You invite likes and dislikes. You invite pain and pleasure. You invite, what do you invite? A host of other thoughts, habitual thoughts, instinctive, impulsive. Did you pay attention to the cab driver, what he said? In the last 25 years, nobody patted on my shoulder. How the dead body can pat your shoulder? What happened, Kate? Now he's a cab driver, so no need to be scared. So, what it takes, we have to be a thinker, and that thinker has to be pertaining to the real self. What is happening to our life? Days after days, weeks after weeks, months after months, years after years, we have the same habitual thinking. Tell me if it is not. We have to be thinking consciously, making a right choice, followed by the practice that will take us to become a seeker. So, one master, it's a beautiful verse. I'll translate into English. It has got the 15 chapters. 5 chapters, it talks about only what is consciousness. 5 chapters, it talks about what exactly is the happiness. And the 5 chapters, what it talks about existence. So existence, consciousness, and bliss, that is what we want to know. So he says now, then we will understand. He says, among all the living creatures, a human birth is very hard to obtain. Do you appreciate that? Do you appreciate that? Dog is hurt. The dog knows where the medical doctor is. I know it. That is why we are a rare living species. Now, first point. Further, more difficult it is to attain fullness of a human being. How I perceive the world, habitually or mechanically. How I work, unconsciously, habitually or consciously. So he is pointing that even rare is the sattvic attitude. The sattvic attitude in Eastern wisdom is known that the mind is seeking knowledge for the real self and the happiness in life. So you see the step by step. Even then, the steadfast on the path of Eastern wisdom is rare. Correct knowledge of the Eastern wisdom to find my real self is rarer. And then comes, have I started thinking between the real and the unreal so that I can settle, I can find out the real self. Then he says, indeed, this awakening is no matter of a chance. Hundreds, millions of years lived unconsciously, habitually. We don't get anywhere. We continue to suffer. So now pick up the first one. Become a human being means not think about yourself. Think about yourself. We have been thinking about everyone except ourselves. I take myself for granted. I'm good. But many people say you are not good. So what is the pointer? The pointer here is animal to the human birth is rare. Only the human being can follow the Eastern wisdom. First step is already done by the nature. Did we have a choice to become a human being? John, do you have a choice? We don't have a choice. So can that choice be taken as a grace by the existence that we have become a human being? We have a human birth. Now pay attention to this. First step done by the nature, animal is programmed by the nature, guided by the four instincts. Instincts means nature. What it means, predispositions, tendencies, biases. Animal remain animal throughout their life. Do you agree? We have a choice. Can I think of it? Can I think of it? You see, these masters were really crazy. They found out that there are 8.4 million living species in the universe. They have also categorized water-based animal, 0.9 million. Immobile plants and trees, 1.1 million. Reptiles, 1 million. Terrestrial, 3 million. Human-like, including mammals, 0.4 million, and total comes to 8.4 million. Only one out of 8.4 million species is a human being. We can be a thinker. Are we a thinker? Now the second step, he says, now do you become a human being? What is the difference? I have an intellect. Do I think about it? Do I think consciously? Now I gave you an example. I just asked, how are you? Peace and happiness are my essential nature. I have started thinking. Stephen just said, we shy of thinking like this. No, come on, I have a lot of problems. First, let me solve all the problems and then I will think. Second step. You see, the way the master says, 8.4 million species. After that, fullness of a human being, which is rare, we don't think. The moment you start thinking, 80% of your habitual, instinctive, and impulsive thoughts leaves you. You feel lightness. So first thing, so now what it takes to be a thinker. Now here comes the science and Eastern wisdom goes together. Remember, observe, choice, control. Three abilities of an intellect. Observe. I can take example of John all the time. I see John. What is my perception of a John? Now I'm a little scared of beautiful women here, if I take their example. So you see that? Conscious, observe. What do I observe when I say John? First, what choice I make. Two, and then I hold on my intellect on that thinking. You see honey? Observe. How do you see honey? Because of the past memory or image, or consciously, here and now? I mean, when I say honey, I have a love and affection for the honey. That is why I say honey. Or do I follow the programmed mind? Then I'm not a human being. Who says? Masters are saying. Master does not say that you believe me. The moment any teacher says you believe me, it means there's a beginning of a cult and a dogma and a religion. This is the beauty of the Eastern wisdom. 2 points. Now come to the third point. Third point says, third step. The fullness of a human being comes when this intellect, this mind or intellect, lives in sattvic attitude. So what is sattvic attitude? It is constantly in search for knowledge and happiness. Knowledge and happiness. Now a person comes, I have a lot of problems, Sorry. Excuse me. Third step, knowledge and happiness. Fourth step, from sattvic attitude, now you tell your intellect, let me find real self. So fourth step is from the sattvic attitude to a desire for self-discovery. Fifth, right knowledge about the self-discovery. So you see the difference between. We have hundreds of popular styles of yoga. Let it be there. We need not to criticize them. Continue the journey. But what is we want? A right knowledge. I should have a right question in my mind that the entire Eastern wisdom, whether it is yoga, kundalini, mindfulness, meditation, tantra, etc., you said the goal is self-discovery, goal is awakening, where it is, how to get it. But if I'm not a seeker, what happens? Oh, you will see great colors and visions. Oh, I see colors. Okay, guide me meditation. You will have lot of powers. You are already powerful. What powers you need? Master says. So you see that right knowledge about this self-discovery is extremely important. Now called dogma release. And what is the sixth step? So now we have a lot of false notions by habit, by liking, by disliking. I have to separate all of them from the intellect to become a thinker. That is one of the most important quality of a seeker. You should have a courage to ask questions to the teacher, leaving aside beard and etc. That's why I gave that example. You should not be concerned about what the teacher looks like. Do you see that? Seventh step is the practice. Until the sixth step, I have to internalize the knowledge. Then you are a seeker. And when you are a seeker, the eighth step comes. Now remember, my master used to say self-discovery is not a matter of chance. You have to make an effort to reach there. So you see, from human being to a seeker. First, I am a living species, recognized with a two-legged animal. Am I working like an animal or working like a human being? I am a human being. I can think. So why should I get upset? My master used to say, if you get upset, if you are reacting, you are inserting yourself as a human being. How many times you inserted last week? Don't tell me. You see the beauty, if you understand the knowledge, if we have a fairly average intellect, am I inserting myself for small things in my life? Come on. See that only that person becomes a seeker in the life. The same master talks about why there are three things that are extremely rare. What is rare? Human birth, I have already explained to you. Second thing is rare in the human intellect, that I want to know myself. We always want to know the Mars and the moons. That is okay. We want to know if my honey, complete your sentence. Huh? So, two things are rare. And what is the third? What is the third? That anyone, you are in contact with anyone who is passing on this wisdom to you. And you are ready to listen. You are ready to accept and contemplate and reflect, want to treat that path. Three things are rare. Now see another perspective of the human birth. As a human being, we have a right mixture of pain and pleasure, likes and dislikes. Now see, we are using even our problems as an opportunity. Other people, the tiger, they continue, they fight, they get hurt and they die. They don't go anywhere. We have a right mixture of pain and pleasure. Why I have a pain? I have a right to think. I can think. I get rid of it. Other births have continuous anxiety, insecurity, fear. Fight for the food. Look at it. Do you see that? And there are people who dream of going to heaven. They live with the same habit. Other people are totally absorbed into pleasure seeking. Eat, drink, and marry. Yeah. They don't want to think beyond that. For them, this Eastern wisdom is not for them. Do you see that? I have to think. From a non-thinker, I have to become a thinker. How? No, I have been thinking since I'm born. No, check that. Are you thinking in this way? That this human being, human birth is a rare? Can I prove that it is definitely a rare birth? Again, I remember what my master, one cannot get a doctorate in foolishness if one does not utilize such a rare opportunity to make a rapid progress towards the self-discovery. So what we are saying, what the Eastern wisdom is saying, one person asked me a question that, do we need a teacher? I said, you have proved yourself. That's why you are asking a question. Why should I go further? Why should I go further? Tell me. So that is the habitual thinking. That is a habitual thinking. I'm not saying to you all what the master is saying. That is what I'm quoting. Sometimes we get offended on small things. So that's why I'm quoting. So the master is saying that, is there a greater fool than the man who neglects his effort to rediscover himself or herself? Having got the rare chance of human birth, the knowledge is available, you have that attitude, the summary is We all have the same mind, whether you say mind or intellect, whatever you want to say. It is the same thing. Structurally, they are one, functionally, they are different. So, from a non thinker, I should become a thinker. And aligned with the modern science, they say that this mind has a capacity or intellect, has a power to observe. Do I observe John dispassionately or passionately? With a passion. With a passion, past habit. I brand it. I create an image. I think about it. Drop all this. Second, after observation, let me make a choice. So I have an option. So with that option, the person who has an intellect, has an ability, I should filter out what is not required. Now I look at what my intellect has to do to think that he is good or bad. Are you understanding? That is our animal nature. And then I hold on the intellect. I have to do nothing with who is good or bad. I have to look at myself. That makes us a seeker. So once you are a seeker, then you will understand these principles easily. And when you understand these principles easily, after that comes the practice. So let us start